Thank you, Abraham. I've been following your teachings for 3 years now, and I've learnt a lot, and sometimes now I feel overwhelmed because I know that I'm the creator of my own reality. You know, living in ignorance and being able to blame others, that was the easy bit. Now, knowing that whatever happens in my life, I know I'm personally responsible for.
But now think about what you're saying. We agree. Blame is a lot better feeling than guilt. But they're both out of the vortex. In other words, blame is only slightly higher on the emotional scale than guilt, and it's all out of the vortex. And this is the thing, anytime you feel less than good, like when you say, it embarrasses me that I now know that I'm the creator of my own reality and I'm not doing as well as I'd like to. That negative emotion that you have when you think that thought is because your inner being doesn't think that thought. In other words, you're contradicting the way Source feels about you. Source thinks you're wonderful, and Source thinks you're doing really well. And Source is so pleased that you're fulfilling your reason. Source loves it that you have allowed a problem to come into focus, because in doing so, you're allowing solutions to come into focus. Source adores you and knows your value and your willingness and your worthiness. And when you get crossways of that, you're not going to feel good. But it's so silly for you to get crossways of the way Source feels about you. You couldn't do anything bad enough or live anything lousy enough or do a bad enough job that Source would say, there is the first lost cause we've ever seen. There just isn't any of that. And the important thing for you to know is, if life had not caused you to become more, you couldn't feel that negative emotion anyway. So why you choose to lament the distance you haven't traveled instead of the distance that you have traveled? Did you get that? Oh, you couldn't feel bad if you hadn't expanded. So why not celebrate the expansion that you haven't quite caught up with instead of the fact that you haven't quite caught up with it?
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah. So say, for example, like in the mornings, getting my children to ready for school, I feel like I'm grumpy. Grumpy mother.
You are a grumpy mother.
The fact is, I know
you
that
went to bed
worse.
as a grumpy mother and you woke up as a grumpy mother. Don't try to fix it in the morning. It's too hard.
Okay.
When
I think I've got a big cross there. Okay, the day's stuffed. I woke up grumpy. That's it. I've blown it. And so I sort of like sabotage myself in a way.
Well, you're really dramatic, aren't you?
Yes.
Because the Source within you isn't looking at it at all like that. So you wake up grumpy. So what? So you wake up grumpy and you're riding around on your broom. So what? But you don't like it, do you?
No, I hate it.
You don't want to be grumpy. You hate being grumpy. So what have you put in your escrow? Ease and flow, delightful mother, uplifting being that I am, advantage to everyone that I interact with, good for people who interact with me, feeling good in my skin, being who I am, in love with life. In other words, think how much of that you've put there, and it's all there. We're not kidding you. It's there. We found you. We see you. We know who you are. So here is all of this magnificent becoming that has already taken place. So you wake up grumpy, and all that grumpy means is you got this habit of thought that's not a match to who you really are, so you're separated from who you are. We'd be grumpy too. If we were holding ourselves in thoughts that were depriving us from all that we'd become, we would suffer that tug of war too. It's interesting. When children cry, you want to soothe them, but you don't allow yourself the same opportunity for soothing. Children cry, you get grumpy, but it's for the same reason. In other words, you're out of your vortex, you see. So a child is crying, you wouldn't say, shut up, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. Oh, wait, you would say that.
Yes. Get over it.
But you never liked it when they said that to you, because you already knew you had something to cry about. Isn't that right? So here's what we're getting at. So you wake up and you feel grumpy, and it's because you've expanded way over here and you haven't figured out how to habitually hang around in that vibration. And so when you wake up, it's like, oh man, man. I'm not who I am again. No problem. You're not going to figure it out in that red hot minute. So just be grumpy and say to your children, you'll go to school soon and you'll be away from me and you'll feel better.
I'll remember that.
Life will get a lot better. Life will get a lot better. Esther says to Jerry when she gets grumpy, would you like me to just bring Abraham in? And Jerry will say, oh, please, 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 do anything. Esther said one day, I think I will just go get Abraham and you can just live the rest of your life with Abraham. And Jerry said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but right now that's really an appealing thought. So you wake up and you're grumpy and you say to your children, if you have the presence of mind to do it, you probably won't because you're too grumpy, but don't worry, it'll be over soon, you'll go to school. And then make your way through your day as best you can. And it's probably not going to be easy because you woke up there, and while you can direct your thoughts some, you may not make much headway on that first day. But that night, as you put yourself in your bed and everyone else is asleep, lie there and say to yourself, I'm going to do my best to bask myself to sleep. Because if I can find something, and the less important it is and the closer to you it is. Esther just bought a new pillow and she loves her new pillow. It is the best possible pillow. She adores this pillow. We cannot overstate how much she loves this pillow. Jerry will say, good night, honey, I love you. And Esther will say, good night, honey, I love my pillow. It has taken that position in her life. But it's because she's been basking over her pillow. Mm-hmm. It smells right, and it's just the right size, and it fits under her head just right, and it's just the right density. It's just the right firmness. It's just this delicious, delicious, delicious pillow. And she has no issues with this pillow. It hasn't betrayed her. It hasn't forsaken her. It hasn't mocked her.
No.
And so she basks herself into alignment with this pillow and with her bedding and with her bed and with her life and with her. In other words, she just reaches as far as she can without losing her feeling of basking over something. And then off to sleep she goes. Now when she awakens, she wakes up in that basking place. Now, she lies in her bed just for a little while and lets the basking bloom into full-blown appreciation. But in the beginning, she has to be a little careful about it, because if she appreciates something that she doesn't really appreciate, her vibration will take a nosedive. So she just appreciates things that are really appreciatable. Really, she focuses on lovable things because her intention is to stay in that vibration, you see. Yes. And then from appreciation, she can go into a list of positive aspects or into a rampage of appreciation. Now, chances are, and it happened with Esther when we first were giving her this technique, that you might be only 10 or 15 minutes into your day. It's nice if you can get up before everybody else does, especially if you have a house full. The further you get into your day, the more likely you're going to find something to fuss and worry about. So the more you can set the tone of that vibration before you integrate with other things that might set you off, the better. So the first day, by the time everybody gets up, you might be back on your broom. But it's different than it was before. It's different because you've shown yourself that you have the ability to direct your thoughts and your vibration to something that feels good to you. And we're not kidding you. If you will do that every night and then every morning and then every night and then every morning, you'll find this new set point that will become the norm. And it won't be long before your children will say to each other, and maybe even they will be brave enough to say it to you, you're nicer now than you were. I can't even remember. I can hardly remember that grouchy you. And you can say to anyone who asks, I was doing it the hard way for so long. I was standing in the midst of uncontrollable circumstances, and in my effort at controlling, I was losing myself. And then I discovered one thing I could control. I could like my pillow before I went to sleep.
I can do that.
I could bask my way to sleep. And then I discovered I could appreciate for 2 or 3 minutes when I first woke up, before my feet hit the floor and before everything started happening around me. I discovered that I have the power to set my own tone. And at first, I had to do it in the privacy of my bed when no one else was awake. But I just got better and better at it, until in time, I can be standing right in the middle of a really upsetting situation, and I can choose a basking thought, because I don't have to face reality. I create reality. I don't have to take what is. I can control the way I feel. I can love unconditionally. I'm powerful enough to do that. And you know, the reason that you were so upset when you first sat down is because the larger part of you knows that, and you just can't stand it when you don't do it, you see. Esther has so many people in her life that she loves so easily. This girl, who makes Esther's life easy in every possible way. There's nothing that Esther could ask that she wouldn't answer with a great big smile, and not just a great big smile, the capability to do it exactly as Esther wants it to be done every time, no exceptions, every time. She is so, so lovable. But it makes the unlovable ones harder to take. And we don't want Esther to be trained into needing the lovable ones. We want Esther to train herself into loving anyway. Anyway.
Yes.
So you can be bad and it's all right. You see what we're getting at?
I do.
Because everybody's trying to control the uncontrollable. In other words, if my children would mind, I would feel better. And if I had more money, then I would feel better. And if this were different, then I would feel better. And we say, you would. You probably would. But it's backwards. You got to feel better, and then that will shift. You got to feel better, and then that will shift. You got to feel better, and then that will shift.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.